morning and welcome to another episode of the Greenbridge Community Housing Podcast. We're joined today by Yaibur from the Centre of Domestic Abuse. Good morning.
Good morning, Jackie.
Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
So I'm the CEO at the Centre for Domestic Abuse, and we run this organisation, which is a community interest company. And in this organisation, we help victims of domestic abuse who seek to obtain protection by way of injunctions, such as a non-molestation order or an occupation order. And this comes after...
Can you explain for those people that are watching what those two orders mean?
Yes. So they're both injunctions, and they can be obtained in an emergency where there's been a breakdown of a relationship and there's perhaps some incident that has occurred which places you as a victim at risk of significant harm. And what that means is that, say, if you remained at the vicinity of the alleged perpetrator, i.e. the ex-partner or the husband or a family member, then you'll be at more risk of harm than not if you were to move out or if you obtain this injunction. So it is to protect the victim from being further pestered, harassed or intimidated, or a third party being instructed and carrying out further harm on you on the alleged perpetrator's instructions. So overall, it's to provide you with protection, and it is a court order that it is usually obtained from the county court. So it usually gives you about 6 months to a year protection, so that you can then, as a victim, can move on with your private life and do what you need to do, i.e. focus on the children, focus perhaps on a transfer of tenancy because you have a tenancy agreement with this alleged perpetrator, as well as buy yourself some time so you can move on. You know, what the traumatic experience that you've just perhaps had isn't what you perhaps were expecting, and you want to move on, you know, see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what it is. It gives you time to move on. Perhaps you need to apply for divorce, and so you can focus on other things and not just the harm that that was caused to you. So that's why the injunctions are very important, and the occupation order as well as the non-molestation order can be obtained on an emergency basis, and so you'll be assessed to see what can be done from our organisation.
So do you do the assessments?
Yes, so we carry out the assessments to gain the position of the victim, basically. So when a referral is made, we would sit with the victim and work out or ascertain what the position is. They might say, look, this is what's happened. A couple of days ago, the police were contacted and this alleged perpetrator or the victim was arrested. What do I do now? The police haven't perhaps taken any further action against this person. They're released or they placed them on bail and it's only for 28 days. What will I do after bail ends? So we will work out and ascertain the position and then go on to what's necessary, and that is perhaps applying for a non-molestation order or an occupation order, and we will assist in the preparation of the paperwork. And what that will include is preparing the application, preparing the witness statement, drafting of some court orders if it's necessary, gathering of any evidence to support the application, and then with the assistance of the solicitors, this victim will then obtain the necessary injunction.
Okay. So if anyone is watching, well, we hope people are watching the podcast, for those people that are viewing the podcast and feel that they might be in the position that you're talking about, what's the first thing they should do?
So if, for example, if they can make a self-referral. That's the first thing that they can do.
You can self-refer.
Yeah. So on our website, at the centrefordomesticabuse.co.uk, there is a referral link. You can make a self-referral. Anyone can make a self-referral as long as you're over the age of 16. Or if you have a support worker or a IDFA, they can make the referral on your behalf. For example, Greenbridge Housing, if they wanted to make a referral on behalf of their tenant or someone, then they can, so that would be a professional referral. Self-referral is also accepted as well. And you just go on our website, either the professional or the victim themselves, and you just fill in your name and fill in your name, email, and your telephone number, and that's it. You can just press submit, and we will contact you straight away within an hour or so, and we'll discuss with you as to what's available and what we can do for you. But the referral process is very straightforward. We also have our app on Google Play Store and our App Store that will be launching very soon. So that will be other avenue of making a referral. But at the moment, you can make an email referral, you can call us in, or you can do it on our website, which is the easiest way to do it. And then once we receive on our end, we make the contact with the victim.
And did you say that contact will be made within an hour of you receiving
Yes.
the application?
Yeah, so our in-house policy is like within an hour or two we'll make that contact, just to give reassurance to the victim, because it is a crucial point that it's a daunting process that they're going through. When something like that happens, a breakdown of a relationship, perhaps been married to the person for 6 years, 7 years, or 20 years, and all of a sudden now they're not allowed to come to your property because there's perhaps been bail, there's been an incident that's perhaps involved physical abuse and things like that. So all of a sudden, everything's perhaps turned upside down for you, and you need answers. And for that, you might perhaps want to speak to someone as soon as possible rather than having to wait a week or two. Say if I was to go to Citizens Advice, I might have to wait to speak to someone and get an appointment. With other organisations similar to us, due to the queue, by that time you might not be interested, or other things might pop up in life. So it's quite important to speak to someone straight away and get the answers that you need. And that's why we have a 24-hour policy, which is what we say, that if a referral is made, we will contact within 24 hours and get the preparation of the paperwork all done and sent off so that it can be in court. But our in-house policy is that we need to make contact with the victim within 2 hours or so when a referral is made. So that's what we do. We speak to them as soon as possible.
Right.
That allows us, so that we've noted the position straight away.
How did you get involved in this type of work?
So when I initially graduated, some time ago.
Oh God! How old are you? You're not going to tell me.
Yeah,
You're
so
23 or something like.
so,
you're not that old, are you?
Yeah. So I initially, after I graduated, I got into practicing a bit of family law.
Okay.
And that sort of took an interest because of what I was doing, and I was initially helping victims of domestic abuse obtain the injunctions. I was advocating for them in court. I was attending to the victims and seeing what can be done. And it just didn't involve just gaining injunctions. It involved also obtaining court protection, child arrangements orders for the parties' children.
Right.
When a relationship breaks down, there's always children involved. The parties may have children together. So just helping with all of that has made me realise, perhaps this is an area that I really like, because there's actual changes that you can see. Someone calling you to thank you for obtaining those injunctions, and, it's now helped them because they can now move on with their life and so forth. It felt rewarding because it felt like I made an impact or made a change, and just taking or listening to their position, saying that, I've got this, what can be done. There's always a solution for everything that issue people have. So, and knowing those solutions and being able to say, I know what we can do, and it's this and that, and just knowing what to do, and just, that felt rewarding, and therefore just continued with, domestic abuse and helping victims of abuse. And yeah, I've just been doing that ever since, and it's coming up to about 8 years now.
So how long's the company been in operation?
So the company's been in operation for about nearly 4.5 years. It's just getting to about 5 years this year. So it was started just around COVID time, so early COVID time, because of the lack of services that was available, or because of the lockdown. A lot of people were in the houses, so there was tended to be more abuse, because the alleged perpetrators and the victims were in the house trapped and they couldn't do much. So that's where the abuse was starting, and so that's when Centre for Domestic Abuse was set up. So it's there for nearly about 4.5 years now.
Mm-hmm. So during COVID, interestingly, you say, and I think I found that because another one of my arms is coaching, life coaching.
Okay.
And I found through lockdown that my phone was going crazy because, like you say, people aren't used to, you might pass each other, one's going to work, one's picking up the kids, one's doing this, one's doing that, taking kids off to clubs, etc., and you just kind of passing ships, and then suddenly you find yourself in the four walls together, and that had a massive impact on people's mental health, relationships, and actually finding out I'm spending a lot of time with this person. I don't actually like them. You know,
Yeah.
it was very much like that.
Overwhelming, yeah.
And just being in that space 24/7 was overwhelming, like you say, for a lot of people. So that's really when things maybe took off for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's absolutely right. And given obviously the community that we're in here in Bedfordshire, um, the the abuse rate was already slightly higher than the average.
Than the national average
Yeah, than the national.
in
Yeah,
Bedfordshire?
in Bedfordshire, yes.
Wow.
So for us to then realise that, look, the backlog was about a month and a half with other organisations
Okay.
that we were getting, and usually you're meant to be in court as soon as possible within, let's say within 2 weeks you have to be in court, have everything ready. But by the time you were then getting a call, it was a month and a half in or so, and you were just waiting for your turn to come because there's
Right.
other people in front of you who had experienced the same abuse as you and whatnot. So you just become a number, and you're waiting to be contacted. A month and a half, 6 weeks is a long time.
It
And
is a
by
very
then,
long time.
your situation perhaps changes, or you decide to move out, or the other person decides to move out and whatnot. But the risk of harm remains the same. So that's what it was. We noted that there was a massive backlog, and we noted that the abuse was in the rise because people were trapped in to the house with the partners or the husbands, and B, other factors, just knowing that you're in prison and it's a lockdown, you can't go out, and that was already perhaps playing in your mind. You perhaps had the children in the house when other times they're going to school, and all of that. So everything played, it towards this, and I think the final bombshell is that if you were intimidated or harassed, you felt like you were trapped and you couldn't do anything. So that's why, in order to bring down that backlog, we initially launched the Centre for Domestic Abuse, and so yeah, it just went from there, with a view to help victims be protected.
You mentioned quite a lot husbands and men, but it can be reversed. It can be women
Absolutely.
that are the perpetrators as well. Is that
Yeah.
that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always refer to the term as alleged perpetrator because
Alleged
alleged perpetrator, because
Right.
the thing is that it's no, we know the term that everyone's innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
Or the fact that these are the allegations that you're making until it's proven, it's always alleged perpetrator, because the the allegation or the incident that you put forward in your statement or against the person is only allegations until the court looks at it and sees what the court can do. So yeah, we help men, women, and children over the age of 16. So as
Over
long
the
as
age of 16.
as long as it's the definition where you fit in is that you're a victim of domestic abuse.
Right.
But yes, in terms of the alleged perpetrator, it can be women as well, and of course, we've helped men who are victims, and we help children as well. So, but yeah, it can be any gender really as alleged perpetrator, but it's not to say we won't help you or anything like that. The help is there for everyone.
What's the process time from someone contacting you to going to court to it being resolved? Can you give us because people often don't come forward or don't speak because the process is too long. It's too painful to keep reliving the trauma. So if you can give us sort of like an idea of what that window looks like, I think it would help people to understand the process a little bit better.
Jackie, the process is very simple and straightforward. It's with anything. If you follow instructions or if you adhere to what's needed to be done, it's a very smooth process. So
that's interesting to hear. Really interesting.
We have our, like I said earlier, we have our 24-hour policy. We'll make contact with the victim. And then within those 24 hours, we have the resources to get the preparation done, to get the application prepared, the witness statement, gather all the evidence. That's within the 24 hours of a referral being made. And then after that, we hand it over to the solicitors, and the panel of solicitors that we'll work with, they can be in court the very next day, because the court resource is available and allows you to be in court
Right.
because this is an emergency injunction. So if, say, the victims are not cooperating, not providing their ID or bank statements, or not signing the documents, then that's what causes the delay.
Right.
Otherwise, the resources there in place. So, for example, today it's about 11 o'clock now in the morning. If you made a referral, we can get the preparation paperwork done and send it off today. And the solicitors even can book the appointment with the court for tomorrow, 10 a.m. issue, and you'll be in court by tomorrow morning. And that's if
Okay.
if you take the phone call to do the statement with us, which is about an hour, you send your bank statement and your ID, which is needed for compliance as well.
Why do you need someone's bank statement?
So
and
say if they
ID?
will be seeking, so it's the bank statement's not for us. It's rather if they're seeking to access public funding, which is
Right.
legal aid.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But the ID is for us as well. So
Of
because we need
course.
to identify who
Yeah.
we're assisting
Speaking
or
to.
dealing with,
Yeah.
as well as compliance for solicitors as well. So yeah, the process is very simple. You can be in court within the 24 hours of us contacting you as well. But it's just a matter of you, as a victim, cooperating and giving the documents and saying, look, I'm available. I'd like to give my statement now. Because we have the resources. But yeah,
Right.
otherwise, you can even be in court today. So the next setting for the court would be after lunch, which is 2 p.m. So say if you're in Luton, you can be in court by 2 p.m. today to issue. So that's how the faster process is. The court understands its emergency injunctions. They put aside resources, the emergency applications, and they will, if you go in, they won't reject you. They won't say perhaps come back tomorrow or anything, but most of the time they will see you on the day. So if you go in at 10 a.m., they'll see you today. If you go in at 2 p.m., they'll see you in the afternoon. So all the resources there. It's just a matter of cooperating and saying, look, I want to get this done and I need this done as soon as possible. It is a hurdle that people have to jump, but it's always up to them how they perceive it. So if they're very keen and say, look, I need to get this done, let's get it done as soon as possible, then I could focus on other things. If that's the case with that attitude, it's a far
Very
more
far.
process.
Yeah. That I think most people will find that quite interesting to hear how quickly the process is, because I thought the process, like probably most of the general public, was a lot longer. So in terms of the numbers of people coming through your system, what do the numbers look like?
So
Unfortunately, what do the numbers look like, I should say?
yeah, so in terms of number wise, obviously we before us there are other organisations as well. We're more based in Bedfordshire and we focused here. Although we try to help victims on a national scale, if a referral is made from Durham, we will help. We will never reject it.
So you don't just deal with
we just no. Although we're just based in Bedfordshire, we help victims in West Sussex, we help victims in Durham, we would help victims in Oxford.
So it's a national helpline then, really?
Yeah, so it's designed that way.
Right.
So initially, of course, it was Bedfordshire that we started with, and then we thought, let's go national, because there's the one organisation that always gets referred to, that the backlog is there. And it's not fair as a victim that you should wait when other resources are available, just around the corner. It should be utilised. So that's why. So at the moment, we haven't got exact figures to say, look, this is how many victims we're helping on a daily basis. But what I can say is at least minimum 10, we get about 10, 15 referrals a day in terms of assessing. Yes. So sometimes they
Is that just in Bedfordshire, or is that nationally?
This is just on a scale of the referrals that we work with.
That's a lot of referrals.
So yeah. And then sometimes those referrals can be more to do with perhaps the children as well, saying like, look, a court order has been made against the mother, and she's now being called into court, or the father's calling in to say, look, I've just received papers for this and I need help. So yes, and then we would obviously then filter out and say, okay, this is for injunction, this is for domestic abuse, this is for children, and things like that. So yes, that's how we're working on a referral basis to say, look, this is how many referral we received and this is what we need to do.
Okay. In terms of, let's talk about success stories first, because I always like to start with the success stories. What's the best success story that you personally have dealt with? Can you remember one? I know there must all be, because you're helping everyone. So some people say to me, what's the most, what's the best postcard you've done? They're all good, because everybody is giving something different to the podcast, so it's difficult to say. However, if Idris Albert is watching, I would like to interview him.
Yeah. Okay. So I say again, yes, with all the victims, obviously, there's never been a case, or rather, very less, to say, someone's come in and didn't get the result that they wanted. It's always very successful results because, the thorough assessments always ascertains, the result that they will get. So we had, there's a couple of people that I can recall. And the way they were referred was they went to someone's organization and there's been misdiagnosis. So they've been let down just there and then by those organizations. And that's because they perhaps had relied on volunteers on the front line. There was lack of legal knowledge on the front line. And this victim, I can recall, she owned a property. And that's what they said. They said that, look, your property is acting as a barrier. And because of that, she was rejected from this national organization. Okay. So then she was referred to the local charities, because obviously the police made the initial referral to the national organisation, and they made a misdiagnosis, and then she was just like, okay, look, we couldn't do anything, but just work with the local charity and see what they can do, and they just the charity, the Ebenezer Project, they just happened to work with us as well. Ebenezer Project's in Luton. I'm sure you've heard of Ebenezer Project.
I know Chanel very, very well. The bizarre thing is, I've got all goosebumps now. I spoke to Chanel. What day is it today? Wednesday, Monday.
Yeah.
So Chanel, I know you're on holiday, but she will be coming. I've worked with her before.
Yeah.
I did a charity event for International Women's Day.
Okay.
About 5 years ago, and all the proceeds, we did a spin for 4 hours or whatever on a spin bike.
Yeah.
And then all the proceeds went to Ebenezer. I've actually got the sweatshirt, the t-shirt, I've got it all. So how bizarre that Chanel will be coming on to a podcast when she gets back from her holiday.
Yeah.
Beautiful project. And there's
yeah.
just not enough information out there. So hopefully when she comes on the podcast, it will, help people to understand more about the project and what's available.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So Chanel, it's been amazing working with Chanel as well.
Yeah. These chairs aren't very comfortable. Yeah. You keep sliding down, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. I just realised.
Lisa, where's my cushions? Because I'm doing the same. I keep adjusting and then ending up down here. So I understand. It's a little light humour in the podcast, but I understand they're not, especially if you're wearing nylon, it's not great, is it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But yeah, just going back, this victim, she was referred then from Ebenezer Project to us because, like I said, we were working with the Ebenezer Project. And
do you still work with them?
Yeah. So, and then the great thing was because we were able to do a thorough assessment, we noted that yes, this victim can still get the assistance because the property that she owns with this ex-partner is a trapped asset because she owns it with that person. That person, the alleged perpetrator, is not going to agree to the sale of the house so that the victim is going to use the money for a case against them. So it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So when we did a detailed assessment, how much they paid off to the property and whatnot, and it transpired that she was eligible. And so we were able to help, and we were in court within a day or two, I think, and we helped her, and she's very thankful for it. And I think it surprised, a lot of the frontline staff members and organisations to say, wow, they were rejected by so and so, and you were able to help. And we're like, look, it's a matter of knowing the knowledge for the area that you're in.
And that's the whole purpose of these podcasts.
Absolutely.
That's the whole purpose. It isn't to, obviously it's to highlight and plug the services and make sure the public are aware and generally what is available. But I'm in this situation, what do I do?
Absolutely.
Where do I go? Who do I speak to? I'm already frightened, I'm already scared, I'm already feeling trapped. I don't then want to have to know that there's any yellow pages anymore because one came through the door the other day. It's about 4. What is the point? Please stop cutting down the trees to make these, because nobody looked. Have you had one?
No.
Did you get one?
What, the yellow pages?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know how back in the day it was like that,
it was
right?
Like Argos catalogue, yeah.
And there are other retailers available. But yeah, the Argos catalogue, my kids used to love that at Christmas, flicking through and pulling out the pages. I said there'd be 50 pages. I want all of this, and if you've got any money left, I'll have some of that. Are you crazy? 50 pages? I know, but they don't do it now. So yellow pages, stop cutting down the trees because everybody's got, what's it called? Google or AI or what, all this technology that's taking over the world, which is really scary. I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyway, we have to move on with the times. So that's a great story. So now I'm going to ask you the flip side, the worst case that you've dealt with.
I wouldn't say, obviously, the field that we're in, we get a lot of, unfortunate abuse that people have encountered. And sometimes when we hear stories about, people being trapped imprisoned in their own properties, I think
Yeah, it's got to be scary.
that quite gets to
Yeah.
me personally. Other repetitive abuse, where because the victim was vulnerable, they would just, it was repetitive abuse and they couldn't do much because they perhaps had, the alleged perpetrator perhaps had leveraged over the victim. Sometimes that could be a visa issue.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes that could be, they might not have no other family members, so they were isolated, and to say, look, if you leave me, then
What are you going to do?
I'm going to come, either threats to kill and things like that. So when it's like that, I mean, we and that's almost a occurrence that we see every other day, and
Yeah.
it's something that we have to bottle in, and we know that, look, it's sad, and it's in our field of work, and we will see it often. I've seen a picture of it was like a chest that was cut open, and it was more of like that when I was, just seeing photographs of abuse like that, it sort of gets to you. And that cut wasn't self-harm or anything. It was more to do, it was like a sexual abuse. So some of the activities that they partook, but it was like they convinced them to do it and things like that. And it's just like, okay, because then that's a permanent scar for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So things like that. That's what it gets to. Sometimes gets to me. But yeah, I wouldn't generalize and say this one person's really, had it really bad. But there's victims out there who are, they come forward, and when you hear their side of the story, it makes you think, well, what is exactly going on out there, and perhaps some intervention should be done, because people sometimes will say, look, I've reported this to the police so many times, and they've brushed it off. I've lost faith. Well, what do I do now? And it's just like, look, please trust us. If anything, we can help. We can take, go to court. Let's get this done. First instance, at least we know then the power of arrest, which is attached to the order, can be a deterrent from the alleged perpetrator from doing anything. And if anything, now the police will be more on alert because the power of arrest is already there. Okay, so perhaps push them to do something. So yeah.
So do you have a lot of interaction with the police?
We don't have direct interaction with the police in terms. So if they want to make a referral to our organisation, they can. And then with regards to, say, for example, if they've taken, say, if an incident happened 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and they went to the scene and they've taken a witness statement, they won't disclose that information to us. There's a misconception with the victims that, oh, I've just given my witness statement to the police to get it from them. They won't disclose that.
No.
That's until perhaps you follow a protocol of obtaining police disclosure through the right channels.
Okay.
Yeah, there's forms that you have to fill and submit, and there's of course sometimes payment as well if you're doing it through like a professional way. Like the solicitors, they would have to pay to obtain those, and you sometimes even need a court order to obtain those police disclosure orders.
Right.
So when victims assume that the police will hand it over, that is a misconception. They won't do that. Obviously there'll be a lot of GDPR breaches and things like that. But of course, for yourself, you can do Clare's Law and things like that and obtain information. But for us, as an organisation, as a CIC, we wouldn't be able to go and obtain that information from the police. They wouldn't give it to anyone. But in terms of liaising with the police, if you say have an investigating police officer who wants to update us on your behalf to say, look, we've just, these are the bail conditions on this person, take whatever you're going to do next. If you need this information, from on the consent of this victim, was emailing it over, then they will. Otherwise, then they won't disclose any information about arrest or give us any statements or anything like that. So that's why we have to produce on our own. And sometimes victims get frustrated because they think, I've just repeated all that. So, excuse me. I've just repeated all that to the police 2 days ago. I've done it for 2 hours. Why do you want me to do it again? But sadly, they won't share.
That's the case.
Yeah, they won't share with us.
Interestingly, and I don't know if you can answer the question because there might be some conflict of interest, but if you just said that a victim has repeatedly gone to the police, reported the abuse, why would the police not then action that or pass that on to you? Why does the victim then have to come to you? I'm a little bit...
Yeah.
And I'm sure people watching will think, I've reported it 10, 15, 20, 100 times and still nothing. Why does nothing get done if I'm saying that this is happening to me?
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I understand what you're saying, and sometimes even I find it difficult to understand with some of the constabularies, the police forces that are nearby, as to why perhaps they can't make a direct referral to our organisation when, why does it have to go through so many channels,
Channels.
which I'll never know.
No.
But if there's any police constabularies out there, and we say you can make a referral direct to our organisation, we
Okay.
would be more than open to work with you as well.
Good.
But the delay, obviously, if a victim needs that protection and they've, went out on a call 4 or 5 times for this victim and they haven't done anything, that's obviously between them because they've, would have carried out a professional standard investigation, of course. And if there's, if they don't do anything, it's beyond our control as an organisation to say, why haven't you done it? We would be interfering with them
Of
and their
course,
job.
yeah.
So it is a matter of, perhaps they'll say, look, we've done our best and we couldn't with, all that we can do. We couldn't do anything on this occasion. Perhaps a civil matter would be appropriate here by
Right.
going to the court and obtaining injunctions. That's when we would have to help and coming to that stage. Otherwise, if the police did investigate and they wanted to assist or they wanted to press further charges, then obviously it'll go over to the CPS and the CPS will look at charges and whatnot. So then it will go to the criminal courts. Whereas if it comes to
And
an
then what's that
organisation,
process time? That's long, right?
yeah, so the CPS will decide. So usually after the arrest, they might place the alleged perpetrator on bail. While bail is in place, they will carry out the investigations, and if they've got sufficient evidence, then they will perhaps say, "Okay, we'll pass over to CPS to bring a charge forward," and then it's loads of other plea, do you plead guilty or not guilty, and all that, and then trial.
And what sort of time scale are we looking at there, Yaibur?
So it's I would say minimum 3 months to 6 months. You're looking for something because you'll have to wait for your trial dates. You'll have to wait for the plea, the investigation. By the initial bail, 28 days. If they haven't done the investigation or it hasn't concluded or they need more time, then they will extend it by another 28 days or 3 months overall. So by then, 3 months has lapsed.
Yes.
And then you still haven't heard anything. So, because a lot of the times after the end, near the end of the 3 months, we then get the referral to say, okay, look, we couldn't do anything. Can we look at civil injunctions now?
So they then after the 3 months pass it over.
They can pass it over, yeah, and say, look, can you look into civil injunctions because we arrested so and so, we couldn't take any further action, and therefore on that basis, we've notified the victim that this is now a civil matter. If they wish to proceed, they can. So we'll look into it. We'll look into whether while the alleged perpetrator was on bail, was it breached? If not, what was the last incident that led to the arrest of the alleged perpetrator, and go from there. Really. But yes, I can't give you an exact time of how long a criminal proceeding will take.
No,
with the civil
because obviously there's
proceeding,
lots of different factors, isn't
civil
there?
proceeding, which is what we deal with in the county courts. What our solicitors will deal with. It's more. It's a quick response because you can be in court on an emergency basis, have your order granted, and then 2 weeks later you have a return hearing, which is with the alleged perpetrator, that they'll be invited into court as well to have their say, to have their say heard, or what their position is, and then it'll go from there.
Okay.
So, 9 out of 10 times at that hearing, the case can conclude with a final order on a no admissions and no finding basis. There's several ways of settling. Perhaps an undertaking is given, or perhaps if it's contested, then further directions will be given. But that return hearing within 2 to 3 weeks' time or so, when it happens, you'll know exactly what your case is likely to go, or if it's concluded, you walk away, you're happy. But it's a very quick process on the civil side, and I believe on the criminal side. But that doesn't mean it should all cases should turn into civil cases. If there's criminal cases and the charges can be brought, then absolutely they should be.
Okay.
And yeah, just coming back to your question, we wouldn't know exactly why the police sometimes don't take actions. But yeah, some people come to us and say, look, I've made so many logs and whatnot, and they didn't turn up, or when they did, it was all, it wasn't worth my time, and they didn't do anything, and now I just don't feel like, I should make that effort to report. Because one of the requirements to go to the court as well is that you have to exhaust other avenues, which is the police, before you go to court.
Of course.
And if they don't want to then contact the police and report it, or even just have it logged, it's like it is acting as a barrier. It's like a requirement that if they're especially seeking or rather seeking public funding, the requirement is that, was the police contacted
Yeah.
at your last incident? And if your view is that, well, they don't do anything, I don't want to contact them, they didn't do anything the last 4 or 5 times, then it puts us at a bit of a difficult position. So we just have to sort of encourage them to say, like, if anything, like, can we have it logged at least with the police to say perhaps that this occurred, and let them come take a statement from you or anything like that. And then after that, we're looking to perhaps apply for injunctions, if anything.
We're not saying, just by the way, we're not saying that police aren't doing their job. We're not saying that they're not necessary, that they're not needed. We're not saying any of that. What we're saying is what we're hearing about how many times I've reported it. So really, we're just trying to clarify what the situation is between the police and yourself. That's all we're saying. We're not, we're not bashing the police and saying, I went there and they didn't do anything. We're just wanting to know what the process is. So just to clarify that, if any police are watching.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
With regard to you as a person, what makes you get up every day and do your job?
Okay. I think knowing that, that we might get an important phone call. For example, today morning, I actually got out of our call. So sometimes, because the way the system set up is that the out of hours call gets directed to someone's phone, and say if that person doesn't pick up, then it goes to the next person. So my colleague then messaged to say, "I've just missed the call," but by then I already picked up the call, and it was about 8:30. So and then obviously business hours are from 9 to 5. So we had a lady who's called in, and she called in from Basingstoke, and she was in a panic mode, and didn't know what to do, and she just some incidents occurred the night before. So things like that, knowing that there's people out there that need your help, and they will be grateful for you for assisting, because you always get comments like, thank you so much, you've just put my concerns to rest, or thank you so much, now I know what to do, or just things like, I'm glad I'm glad I called, or now I know what to do, I can move forward. It's things like that gets you motivated and come to work, as well as the colleagues that I have who are amazing. We're all out there helping, working together to help victims. We bounce off each other, and yeah, so that's what I say, is knowing that it'll be a different, no case is the same, no victim goes through the same abuse, it's always different, and knowing their story and listening is like, that's like, you gain more knowledge as well. You learn from people's lived experiences and whatnot. So it's always a different story, and it's fascinating to know what people, how people are living their life, and what they're going through. So that's what gets me really interested. Just to know exactly what it is and how we can help, because it's like, when you know what to do, like diagnosing the problem and then applying what the solution is. That's what gets you excited, because you feel like, okay, I know my job and I know how to do it, and I'm doing it because I can see the changes or the differences. And that's what gets us up, gets me up.
What do you do for fun?
Okay, so that's a good interesting, because
you don't have to tell us all of it, just the bits that we could talk about.
Yeah, no, I think I quite like traveling. I think like going on holidays, or if it's not just we call it holidays, but sometimes just traveling, as in like going to another country, just to experience what life is like there, or
so holidays. Anyone who knows me knows I love a holiday. I've just come back from one, and I already need one after 10 days back. What else?
I think also I also like going to just these networking events. I've got a few lined up. So we've got.
Your fun is going to networking events.
I enjoy it. It's different, because, like, for example, the one that we have coming up is in a farm. Then the next one is is fishing.
In a farm.
Yeah, so Woodside Farm in Luton, I think just near Market.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different. So although it's networking, it's also like activities at the same time. So
what are you going to do on the farm?
So it's it's to do with mental health.
Is it on the 27th?
Yeah.
It's all right. We've already had Michael on the show, so we already we know. This is how good we are. This is how good we are. We're already ahead of the game.
Yeah, I like that.
But it's only for men.
Yeah, so that's the one I'll be going to, which is interesting.
Yes, it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got your gloves on, because you'll be flipping logs and flipping tyres. No, he's told that it's brutal.
Yeah, I think.
Will you be taking part?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or will you just be networking?
No, I think I always like taking part. Regardless.
I don't.
because
Just so you know.
yeah. I think if you get your hands dirty on one, it's part of
Oh,
the experience,
no.
isn't it? It's part of the experience.
Don't
You know,
know.
I'm
Yeah.
excited the fact that it's in a farm. That's literally like my biggest. You know, otherwise you can hold a networking events in a boring conference room, and what do you look at? 4 walls and a water tank. That's it, and a TV.
Yeah.
But it's nice when it's in a farm because it's
It's
outside.
outside.
It's different. And
Fingers crossed
whatnot.
that the weather's nice for the
Yeah.
weekend, which I'm sure it will be.
I like the fun ones, but
What else are you going to? So you going to that one? What else are you doing?
going to fishing on the 11th.
Fishing.
Yeah.
What's the
'Cause
purpose of that? Is that mental health or?
again, yeah, as you're
Oh.
aware, this month is all about
Yes.
mental health and things like that. So it just depends on the season. Really.
Are
So,
you actually going to be fishing?
yeah, we're fishing. Yeah, I'm dragging some of my colleagues. I'm dragging the chairman of the Centre for Domestic Abuse, and a few of our colleagues. We're also going because I think it's not only is it a bonding activity, but it's also activity to network with others as
Of
well
course,
as speak
yeah.
to survivors and people that who have gone through have lived experiences.
Yeah.
So it's different. But I genuinely do enjoy networking events, and or like events like this. Because
I enjoy
it's
the
different.
networking events that you have to get dressed up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I like that. I'm not doing no
I see the
outdoor
afternoon
fishing.
tea
I'm not
afternoon.
doing no fishing. I'm not flipping no. I'm not doing none of that. Anything where you have to get dressed. I love networking as well because
Yeah.
people are fascinating to me.
Yeah,
So fascinating and
no,
interesting.
definitely.
So I do like the networking events.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for example, like the afternoon tea or the
late
community awards, the
afternoon
Luton
tea.
Community Awards, and
I
things
shall
like
be there too.
yeah, so we're always there.
But I can get a nice dress for that one, you see.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And I just couldn't recycle my black tuxedo every year. that's who it is.
That's the thing with guys. Literally,
Yeah.
just change. You literally could just change your tie, like.
Not even.
You don't even need to do that.
Yeah,
you could just keep dusting it down and get. But when people take so many pictures that you can't afford, they'd be like, I would be thinking, oh, she had that dress on last time, so I have to have. So just in case my husband is watching, that is why my shopping bill's gone through the roof. 1 with the podcasting, 2 with these events, 3 sometimes you've actually got to physically work. It's a lot of it's a lot of stress on a woman. Guys, you just put on a suit. No one's going to notice. No one.
Yeah, no, nice.
You just put on your black tie, your shirt, and you're good to go. And some nice aftershave, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. You've shared so much information with us, which is great. Tell us how you're funded.
So we are funded, so it's private donors and sponsors at the moment, as well as obviously we're looking into Luton Rising funding, applying for those, as well as more government funding in terms of whatever's available and suits our realm.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking into, and I think we're at a process where we have to start looking into those because we're obviously we're expanding and we're at a position where we have helped sufficient or enough victims to say like. Look, perhaps we need that, funding from the local police constabulary and so forth. So we are looking into that, and that's currently going in the process.
Okay.
But yeah, that's our funding situation at the moment.
So, those that are watching, please get in touch with what's the email?
Oh, sorry. Do you mean our office?
Yeah.
So it's office@centrefordomesticabuse.co.uk.
Lovely, and get in touch with yourself or Helen.
Yeah.
Anyone else that they can get in touch with? Just because they're the only 2 people I know. So
yeah. So we're at the moment. Yeah, we would be us that would get in touch,
great.
and then we can pass over to the relevant, like the chairmans and the trustees and so forth. Yeah.
Have you got any events coming up that anyone could sponsor or we could attend? Something where we're not flipping tyres or with a fishing rod.
Do you know what?
In a nice stately home or something like that.
Our office is actually really nice, and we just had.
I need to pop along.
Yeah, no, definitely. We had our last networking event on the 20th of June, and we had a special guest, Zara Brown from the Bedfordshire Police, and she did the opening, and it was a very successful event, and it turned into a debate, which was really weird, right? So you have this networking event. We were networking. It was more of like a coffee morning, and everyone was there. And we had different organisations, representatives of different organisations like Impact, and loads of other organisations. And all of a sudden, it was Luton Borough Council there as well, and it just turned into a debate, and then everyone just sat down, and I was like putting their hand up to ask questions, and it was so different. And we were like, this is not what we expected, but everyone walked away very happy.
Oh, that's good.
And
So keep in touch with us. Let us know when your next one is.
I think Helen definitely. I think Helen's got one on the pipeline. So excuse, because she wants to. Obviously, as we make new connections, we'd like to obviously invite our new connections over as well and show them we showcase our work, which is very important.
It is
And last
important.
time we did that with two different individuals who we helped, and that's what turned into the debate, because the two individuals were invited to come and
lovely.
give their experience of how how the Centre for Domestic Abuse assisted them,
Mm-hmm.
and how they found the journey.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, because they also were very. It just so happens that they were in court the day before, a couple of days before, and their orders were granted, and they were there to say,
Nice.
I'm right on the other side of the hurdle now, and. So
Yeah.
we always showcase our work, and I think that's something we'll always do.
That's really good. It's been lovely having you on. I'm looking forward to coming and having a look at your offices
Definitely.
and getting back in touch with you to find out how you got on flipping the tyres on the farm and fishing. But it's been an absolute pleasure, Yaibur, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
No, thank you,
Thank
Jackie.
you.
Thank you for having me.